Amen.
Amen.
So I've received a number of questions. So this question and answer should really be a study. I don't have all the answers, so don't expect me to do all the talking. People have different opinions, and we're interested in everybody's thoughts, not just my own. Sorry? Is my microphone not on?
I don't think an opinion counts.
Mine's on.
Oh, you mean when they're loud?
My sister does, I don't. I can hear myself. I think I've got a sore throat, so I'm not sounding as loud as normal. Sorry, Brother Richard, you said what?
So I don't think opinions matter. I don't think they counted.
They wouldn't be asking me then, would they? I guess. They wouldn't ask my opinion on stuff. We'd all have to figure it out ourselves. If it's just a dust
Well,
thing.
you already had figured it out because you've done at the time using the principles and that's the conclusions that the Lord give you.
I've got
But
some.
if you're
Thank
being
you.
honest, what the Lord revealed to you, then you're honest to the flock, and then the flock goes and sees whether it's so.
Yeah, it's my opinion of how I understand stuff, isn't it?
So it's not as easy as the Lord revealing to you then as you study and seek and symbols open up and scriptures open up scriptures.
If that's how you view it, but that's fine. Whatever I say is the thus saith the Lord. Like,
I'm just asking you, is that not the case?
how do you see it? I've told you how I see it.
Because you already
It's my opinion.
You got to the end of a presentation and the class was full of all different mindsets and that's not in unity, is it? And you just express the same thought as you started this. There's different opinions. Different opinions are not unity. They're not the same. They're different.
Yeah. But hopefully at the end of a study we should all come to the same position.
Oh, okay, so you've still got that hope in your heart. That's good. Praise the Lord.
Well, it's more than the hope. I've seen it over and over again. Sorry?
Test never. The end of a Brazil presentation. With her class.
I don't know.
She said you know.
Okay. Maybe they weren't a good class.
But it was good, wasn't it?
Brazilians, you are not a good class. I told them. If they're listening now. I don't know whose this is. Whose is it? It's in pencil. You must recognise the paper. You don't have to look at the handwriting. Oh. Oh, it's just Sister Carol Lees. She's not here. Okay. So we know. It says, does the three sins. I presume it means the sins.
Yeah.
Does the sins of Babylon be repeated? So are the sins of Babylon repeated in our generation in a similar way? If yes, can we expect a hot civil war to break out in America or worldwide over this issue of equality, race, etc., fueled by the trade unions? Do you understand the question? And the money men and the money men will buy all the food. What money men?
There'll be power to do so, the bipolar food, and then sell it in smaller segments for large amounts of money. But not exactly word for word.
Oh, like
You
Asda.
mentioned China and other nations. You mentioned Russia.
Okay, like Asda or something you mean, or?
Yeah, they buy it in tons, don't they? And then they break it up in little 25-gram bags and whatever.
For our convenience. Okay.
Not for our convenience, but then
Okay, so does the sins of Babylon, are the sins of Babylon repeated in our generation in a similar way? She's not. Okay, maybe I will leave that question because she's not here. Where is she? She's in the children's class. Is she there for the whole class?
No, she's back in the day.
Okay, so we'll leave that one then because I'm not sure what she means. Question about the woman riding the beast. So this is Revelation 17? Yep. So question about Revelation 17. This is Brother John Mark's question. With the 2520 of the northern kingdom, we say the 1260 beginning from 538 represents the woman. Can the time period of paganism represent the male? Okay, so if we go to Revelation 17, we might have to break it down a bit because I don't want to rephrase it and misdo it. So it's the question about the woman riding the beast. So is this verse 3? Revelation 17 verse 3? It's good? Okay, so let's read Revelation 17 verse 3. Someone.
So he carried me away in the spirit into the wilderness, and I saw a woman sitting on a scarlet-colored beast, full of names of blasphemy, having 7 heads and 10 horns.
So it says, with the 2520 of the northern kingdom, we say the 1260 beginning from 538 represents the woman. Therefore, can the time period of paganism represent the male? So
male meaning state. Is that what you mean?
paganism is the time period before 538. What's the time period after 538? You just called it the woman, represented by the woman.
Yeah. 538 to 1798.
So can you see from here, or should I go here? Is that better?
Oh, definitely. Much.
Yeah. So I don't know if people caught the question. I'll read the question again. I'll just read it as it is, because Brother John Mark deceived us a little bit. He tricked us in the way he asked the question. With the 2520 of the northern kingdom, we say the 1260 beginning from 538 represents the woman. Can the time period of paganism represent the male? So I don't know if you caught the little problem there, but we'll work through it. So the first thing is, it talks about the northern kingdom. Please explain. Oh, so this is a little bit about the 2520, your question. Yeah. Okay. So this is the 2520 for the northern tribe. And this would be 723. Is that right? Correct me if I make mistakes. 538 and 1798. Is that right? So this is the northern tribes, northern kingdoms. It says, we say the 1260 beginning from 538. So that's the 1260. And then I guess that would be the 1260. and this would be the 25-20. Okay? Is you good with that, Brother Mark? Sure. Okay, then it says, we say the 1260 beginning from 538 represents the woman. Yeah, so this is the woman. And then it says, can the time period of paganism, where's paganism?
723 to 538.
So here's paganism. Okay, then he said, then you said, can this represent the male? So where does male go?
Maybe the state. That's the question.
You said the time period of paganism, can it represent the male?
Yeah.
So where would I put male?
On the left side.
Here.
Yeah.
So what's the problem, Brother Carl, so far?
Well, pagan for me.
Without working out all the details of what is what, what's the problem with that?
Well, paganism began before.
Separate to that, if we just go with the picture work.
Male and then you've got woman.
Anyone here? We need a microphone. Okay, so that's not the answer I'm looking for. All these are correct answers, or they're detailed answers. Just want a basic thing. There's a problem just with the structure that he's laid out. We'll go into the details of that in a moment, I think. There's a fundamental discrepancy. I don't want to say a problem, discrepancy. Brother Tom. Is that not working, or?
No.
Try it now.
Yeah. I don't know if this answers your question, but for me, the second 1260 has both the man and the woman.
Okay, but he's saying paganism represents the male. So I'm okay with that, whether it's right or wrong. If we do paganism represents the male, don't worry what that means. It's not about what it means. What's missing? So look, if we did this, we've got male and pagan on this side, and on this side what have we got? We've just got woman, and this has been left blank. So you need to have something here. So I wonder why you didn't do that. Why did you miss that out?
Yeah. I was not thinking about that.
Oh no, don't give me excuses. He's good at English. His English is very good. The Dutch are taught English properly at school. Their English is impeccable. So you missed this out.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is what's going to start causing you problems because this was missing. So what do you want to put here?
The state power.
Oh, you tell me. You've juxtaposed male and female.
Sorry. There has to be the.
Let me ask you a different question. What is this?
It's counterfeit religion.
Religion.
Yeah.
Okay, so what would you put here?
Also religion.
Sorry?
Religion.
Okay, so you didn't call this religion, you called it paganism.
Yeah.
Or pagan religion. What's this then?
Catholicism.
Okay, so the brethren over there called it papalism.
Papalism.
Are you okay with that?
Yeah.
Okay, so now it's all okay. So if the woman represents papalism, then the male could represent paganism. That's what you're asking. Yeah? Okay, so if we're okay with that, so now someone can respond. So the question is, let me read it. if we say that the 1260 beginning from 538 is papalism, it's not the woman, because you said represents the woman. It doesn't. It's papalism, which represents, or the woman represents papalism. I'll do it that way. Can the time period of paganism represent the male? If the woman represents papalism, can the male represent paganism?
Yeah.
That's your question. Okay, now who wants to answer? You smiled, did you want to answer? Go on then.
So I think, at least the way I see it, with drawing it from Revelation 17, this woman, but how I read Revelation 17 is the woman is sitting on all the heads. So she's present from basically the beginning. So she doesn't just appear in 538.
Okay, so let's read verse 9. So you read it, you have it down.
Yeah. Revelation 17 verse 9, it says, "And here is the mind which hath wisdom. The 7 heads are 7 mountains on which the woman sitteth."
Okay, so we'll leave the middle bit out, the mountain bit. It says the 7 heads, I'll rephrase it, the woman sits on 7 heads. If you're okay with that. Okay with that, my brother? Yeah? So, and the heads are on the beast. So she sits on all of those heads. So she's around in head number 1, 2, 3, all the way to 7. Agree with that? Okay. So when does head 1 begin according to your understanding? I didn't catch that. So the first head is 723?
No.
That was Assyria though.
Let him do it.
Yeah. Or maybe, yeah, Babylon, from Babylon.
What's 723?
It's Syrian kingdom.
Syrian kingdom.
Yeah.
Can you put Babylon there?
No, afterwards. Afterwards.
Afterwards? Where? Why won't you put you don't want to put Babylon here? Good.
Yeah, that's good, yeah.
Okay, so we'll put Babylon here or not, yeah?
Yeah.
Okay. Where did the Syrians live?
In Assyria kingdom,
In Shinar,
China.
the land between 2 rivers.
Yeah.
Same place as the Babylonians live.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so we will begin the first head here. Babylon, you said.
Yeah.
Second head.
Second head is Media Persia. Yeah.
Carry on.
Then Greece.
Oh, use the microphone. Yeah, you're supposed to be using the microphone. Okay, so we're in. We could go to different verses, but it says in verse 3, it's got 7 heads. So we're listing out the heads, and my brother's saying that each head represents a different kingdom. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
The first head is Babylon, then Medo-Persia, then Greece.
Yeah.
These are the heads on this beast. So if we just took some artwork, even though it's a different chapter, oh no, sorry, it's this chapter here, there it is. It's this beast here, and it's got 7 heads. You can't see it too clearly here, but we could go to this one, or to this one. You've got 7 heads, 7 heads. It's all the same artwork.
Yeah.
Chapter 13, chapter 12, chapter 13, and chapter 17. They look slightly different, but they're all the same animal. Okay with that?
Yeah.
Yeah? So we've got Babylon, Media, Persia, Greece. The fourth head?
Greece and then Rome.
Okay. So if we just go to a verse 10, it says, there are 7 kings, and the 7 kings contextually is what? Sister Ula, what's the 7 kings of chapter 10, sorry, verse 10, contextually? Do you understand what verse I'm in?
Yeah.
Okay, so when we say contextually, what does that mean to you?
I don't understand that.
Okay, so if I said what the context of something is,
It comes from context.
yes,
It's those heads.
it's the heads. Maybe if we could just shut the windows. So if we go to verse 9, it says, the 7 heads are 7 mountains on which the woman sitteth, and there are 7 kings. So the 7 kings are the 7 heads, just contextually. It says 5 are fallen, that means 5 kings are fallen, which means 5, if it's 5 kings, it's 5, or 5 heads. So 5 heads are fallen. Fall means they're in the past, they're dead.
Yeah.
Okay? So we've got the 4 here, and the 5th one is what?
The 5th one is pagan Rome. Papal Rome.
So the 5th one, you want to put Rome again.
Yeah. Pagan, Papal Rome.
Do I put pagan here?
Yeah. Pagan Rome.
So we've got pagan and papal Rome.
Yeah.
And I think you've said that papal Rome is all of this. Is that what you said?
Yeah.
Papalism and paganism. So all this 1260 is the 5th head.
Yeah.
Okay? So the woman, this woman here, depending which verse you go to, it's talking about the woman that rides the beast. Where does she begin her story?
By blocking out the
Is that working? Is it, because I can't hear you.
by removing the 3 the 3 nations.
There's not 3 nations in this chapter.
Oh.
I don't think.
Yeah, so she's beginning in 538 after.
Okay, so it says she rides on how many heads?
7.
It's on 7 heads.
Yeah.
So when does she begin her journey? Not the date.
Oh, she.
It's in the 7th row.
So then she begins in.
Which head does she begin with?
Then she begins in Greece.
She begins in Greece. What number is
If
Greece?
That's the.
Sorry?
That's the 3rd.
So she begins riding the 3rd head.
Yeah, if you.
She doesn't ride the 2nd head. Did she sit on the 2nd head?
No.
No? So we'll go to the verse then. It says in verse 9, the woman sits on how many heads?
Seven.
She sits on 7 heads.
Yeah.
So does she sit on head number 2
Yeah.
and number 1?
Yeah.
So where does she begin?
From Babylon.
From head number 1.
Yeah.
So the woman is here, 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 and here.
Yeah.
So she's all the way through. Do you agree with that?
Yeah.
So the woman is all the way through here.
Ah. Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
In fact, she doesn't stop here because we've already done part of the story. Because there's 7 heads.
Yeah.
Because we'd put the 6th, which is what?
It's 6 is the United States.
And the 7th?
It's how do you say that? NATO?
NATO?
No, NATO. UN. Sorry.
Okay. So she goes all the way this far.
Yeah.
Yeah? So the woman's all the way through. So when you said male, where are you getting the concept of male from?
Yeah. There was. I was thinking about the male power with the gender roles.
Okay, so the woman, you said is papalism.
Yeah.
Is that what you said it was? What is papalism?
A counterfeit from the
A counterfeit what?
true religion.
A religion.
Yeah.
You said it's the counterfeit religion.
A counterfeit Christianity.
Yeah, a religion, counterfeit religion.
Yeah.
So papalism is a religion.
Yeah.
So this is a religion. What's papalism? Paganism.
Yeah. That's also a religion.
This is a religion as well.
Yeah, I think so.
So in this story, you're saying a religion is represented by a woman, and you're suggesting a religion is represented by a man.
Yeah.
Does that sound right to you?
No.
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 So paganism could never be represented by a male.
Yeah.
It would have to be represented by
A woman.
a woman. So this woman are the same woman.
The same. Yeah.
Are you okay with that?
Yeah.
Okay, so if you agree with all of that, then if you want to bring a male into the story, where would you put the male?
There has to be the state power.
State power.
Yeah. I'm
Is there a state power here?
Yeah.
Here?
Yeah.
Here?
Yeah.
Here? Here?
Yeah.
Here?
Yeah.
And here. So you've got male from the beginning to the end. But your question was up to here.
Yeah.
So the woman is from 723 to 1798, and the male is from 723 to 1798. They both run all the way through.
Yeah.
Good?
Yeah.
Does that
Thank
answer
you.
your question?
That answer. Yeah.
So the question was, with the 2520 of the Northern Kingdom, we say the 1260 beginning from 538 represents the woman. Can the time period of paganism represent the male? So the answer is...
Oh. No.
No, it can't. Because paganism is the woman,
Yeah.
as much as papalism is the woman. If we're okay with that.
Yeah.
Yeah? So let's just go a little bit further in our consideration. This head, it's the head of what?
The head of state.
Head of state.
Head of state. Yeah.
Head of state. State is this one or this one?
The male.
Male. So the fifth head, you said was. You said it was.
The papacy,
And the papacy is.
the woman.
So, is there a problem here?
Yeah,
What's the problem?
it cannot be the head of.
So it cannot be the head. So what's the head?
The kingdoms of Europe. The kingdoms of Europe.
So we're going to put Europe here. Are you okay with that?
Yeah, I think so. No.
No? Yes or no? What you're not okay with? What's troubling you?
Yeah, because not.
You okay with that? All that, Brother Richard? Does it all look good?
Well, the papacy failed to get to do her work, wasn't it? 25 years short, and then France had to come in.
Well, that's all fine, but I'm just asking at this level, is
Yeah, well,
everything's okay?
not with Europe, but,
Sorry? You're not okay with Europe?
well,
Do you tell me what you want to put?
persecuting power.
So what do you want to put down?
What, have you removed papacy altogether?
Don't tell me what you don't agree with. Which bit of the artwork do you not agree with?
The Europe.
Okay, so I take that out. What do you want me to put in its place? The fifth head, what shall I put for the fifth head?
France. Well, France.
France is the fifth head. Put that next to your mouth so that people can hear it.
But I don't know what to say.
Well, that's fine, but keep it to your mouth.
The fifth head would be, because I don't know.
So why you got a problem if it's Europe if you've not got an alternative?
Because I haven't seen Europe there before.
What have you seen there before?
France.
France.
Because 25 years before the 79.
So let me ask you a question. Have you heard of the Spanish Inquisition?
Yeah.
Have you heard of the I don't know what to call it. I guess the German Empire.
Well, they call it the Holy German Empire, didn't they? So
Yeah.
So we did a good presentation on the history of Europe. Yeah.
Who did?
To me, they did a good.
Okay, so if you're familiar with that, why don't you want to put Germany here?
I don't want to put Germany there.
Why? What was Germany doing? What did Germany do?
Well,
Or try to do?
yeah,
What?
it had a battle with what is it, fascism and two different ideologies coming together.
Before 1798?
Oh, no, oh, that was after, wasn't it?
We're in the 1260. What did Germany do?
I don't know.
Where did the Protestant Reformation occur?
In Germany.
And what did the German king try to do?
From the papacy.
The emperor tried to do?
Well, they split from the papacy, didn't they? Or Protestantism.
Yeah, what did the German king try to do?
I can't remember.
Sister Cedri. He tried to kill them. Why was he trying to kill the Protestants?
Wicked.
Just because he's wicked.
Or because he slanted on the papal side.
So why don't you want to put Germany here? Why do you want to put France?
I'm not the one at the front, you are. I've seen it.
Why don't you want to put Spain there?
That includes all those nations, doesn't it?
What does?
Europe.
Yeah, but you want to make it just France.
Do you want us to bring in loads more?
Well, I'm wondering why you only want to keep it France when I've given you two witnesses that you agree were working for the papacy in that history, and they're not minor, they're significant players. Only if you're happy to.
But my feelings don't come into it, do they?
Of course they do.
I don't. If my feelings are, if I'm not happy with something being up there and it's right, then my feelings shouldn't come into it.
Okay, is it right to put Europe?
Well, I'm not sure, because you probably have something else to put up there as well, so I can't give you 100%.
Is it wrong to put France on its own?
Yeah, because France only did the last 25 years of the 1,260.
Okay, so no, we can't put France there. We have to put something. So my brother wanted to put Europe because sometimes it's one nation and sometimes it's another nation and sometimes it's a third nation.
Well, it says 7 heads.
No, this is
Not in that period.
this is one head, not 7 heads. So they're just different nations in that one head.
Make up that 5th head.
Yeah. But it's not the woman and it's not papalism, but it has to be.
Papalism had a significant role in that time period.
Okay, so go to.
Even though they was using the heads of state.
Amen. They're using the heads and the heads of state. If you go to verse 2, Revelation 17 verse 2, it says, with whom the kings of the earth.
Yeah.
So you've got kings. These are the kings that are the head. It's not the church. So European kings, if we're okay. Yeah? We know that because the woman is sitting on what? What is she sitting on? Verse 1. Last part of the verse. What is waters a symbol of? No. What's the waters a symbol of? Sorry? Someone said? Not peoples, no. Nations are run by whom? Kings. So the waters are kings or kingdoms. Revelation 13 verse 1. I saw a beast coming up out of the waters. So it's not a singular entity.
When it says waters, that represents different kings in different nations.
Yeah.
Okay, right.
Because if you read verse 2, what do the kings do? They do 2 things. They commit fornication, and the second thing they do?
Make drunk.
What did they do?
Make drunk with wine before.
Make who or what drunk? So, it's louder. They make the inhabitants. What does the word make mean? Force. So they voluntarily do their work, and then they force the people to do it. Yeah? So there's a church-state relationship, and what do? They force the people to do that. Where do we see those 3 entities? Kings, the woman, and the inhabitants. Daniel, chapter 2, where you have iron, clay, and not the stone, the seed of men. Iron, clay, seed of men. You see the 3 entities in Revelation 17, you see them in Daniel chapter 2. So, Sister Eula, are you okay with, this is not the question on the 2520 being answered, but from what we've done so far, we've got 2,500 years. We could just do the maths and the maths would all work out. Halfway exactly is 538, and Adventists are familiar with the 1260. So there's just another 1260. This is the history of the papal church. This is the history of the pagan church. Papalism, paganism. And they're both women. So the woman goes all the way down. And then what we've done is we've taken Revelation 17, this woman who rides this beast, that she rides each of those heads, one after another. And so we've just listed the heads. We've not proven it, per se, but we've taken the heads 7, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We'll stop at 5, and we've just listed them out: Babylon, Media, Persia, Greece, pagan Rome, and we couldn't say papal Rome, but we think about the heads, it has to be a state power, which would be the European kings. And then we've got 2 more state powers after that. And if we cut it off here, this is the 2520, at least one way of looking at it. Does that make sense? Relatively straightforward. Anybody disagree with anything that we've got on the board? Or got questions or comments, or they want to add to that?
It was my question, and I'm clear enough.
Amen.
Part of the question, there is another 2520 that ends in 1844?
Yes.
So can you sort of add it?
Yes. So
Praise the Lord. Yes, please.
I'll explain that I'll explain a little bit on that.
So the fifth head would be the papacy in that model,
Which model?
the other 2520.
No, I don't think you can do the other 2520 that way, which is why Brother Jean-Marc specifically says the northern model. Because when you take the southern model, it has a different theme, a different idea. It becomes problematic to use that theme with the 7 heads and overlay it into that history. Yeah? Because you're going to get into the history of the 6th head when you take the other 2520, aren't you? You agree with that? You're going to get 46 years into that history of the 6th head if you take the other 2520. And so that's a different story. Just want to add a couple more points. Oh,
Sorry, just that
have I done something wrong?
dividing Babylon and Assyria as one kingdom.
Yes. Yeah, I guess that's what I'm doing. Have I done something to it?
No, I said they. It's
Oh.
done on the chart as well, but it says 677, but that's Assyria.
Oh yeah, so 677. Okay, we'll do this, but I'll put it on the board. So this is the 2520 that's on this chart, and this one doesn't begin in 723. It begins in 677, and it goes all the way down to, we'll say 1844 here. If we could do this chart here, 1844. So we'll call this 1844. There's a complexity between them, and it begins in the same year, 677. And 677 is when the Assyrians take one of the Judean kings captive, Manasseh, and they take him to Babylon, their temporary capital. So that's still the Assyrians in that story. That's a good observation, yeah. That's okay?
Yeah, just I want just to be clear as to connect Assyria to Babylon. I can understand that Babylon was originally like a Syrian city to begin with, so that's kind of justification.
Yes. We've got other, I guess, evidences to do that. You could go to the book of Joel. So maybe this is probably beyond what some people are familiar with, and we might not know all these intricacies. If you go to Joel, I'm not sure where you'd begin the book of Joel. If you would begin it in 723 or 677, I don't know where you'd begin the book of Joel.
I would begin at 721.
Okay, so the book itself is written in 721. If that's what,
She refers.
yeah. So the book itself is written in 721, which he refers to the dark day of 1780. It's just 2,500 years. So it gets you to 721.
Yes.
Okay, so the book itself is written, but the history that's been addressed, where would you begin it? You'd begin it in 721.
It's referring, the jewel is referring to that period.
Okay,
So that's just what's,
so it begins in.
has this happened before in your day?
Okay,
You know, but he's speaking about what's going to happen to Babylon or to Judea.
so the 4 insects are a symbol of what?
Progressive destruction.
Upon
Judea.
Okay, so you're going to begin Joel in, I'm going to say 723, if you're okay with that. 723, 721. 723, the king is taken. 721, the city is destroyed. There's a, depending on how you count, there's a 3-year siege. So,
Well, I understand that the king was originally taken in 723 captive.
yes, so
The city was it not destroyed in 722, and then the king was killed in 721? I think there was something.
you might be right, I'm not sure. So, you take 721, 723, you're going to begin the story there. You're going to take the 4 insects to represent the progressive destruction. I'm going to say from 723 to when? If you don't have to know the date, just the event.
You could say the destruction the beginning of the captivity of Judah, or even the destruction of Jerusalem.
Okay, so we'll go with the destruction of Jerusalem. So you're going to say 723 to the destruction of Jerusalem. Sorry? Okay. So this is the story of Joel, and it's 4 insects. Everybody's familiar with the 4 insects of Joel? The locust. So my brother's saying these are the history of the 4 locusts. Yeah? So it says, has this happened before? So what is the this, Sister Cedri? We're here in 721. Joel is speaking and he says, has this happened before? First of all, who is he talking to? If you don't know, just say you don't know, it's fine. Sister Emma, who is he speaking to?
The Northern Kingdom.
Joel is speaking to the northern kingdoms, and he's saying to them what? Has this ever happened before? Tell me what the this is.
The work of destruction is about to happen. Or, actually, no, it has happened. Started to happen. I don't know.
Tell us the verse that you're reading, please.
I'm just looking at Joel chapter 1,
Tell us the verse that you're looking at.
verse 2.
Okay, so Sister Emma's in chapter 1, verse 2. So I want to know who he's speaking to and what has happened when he says, has this happened?
So verse 2 tells you he's speaking to the children of Israel. He's talking about their fathers. and
Okay,
sons.
so all I want to know is he talking to the north or the south? Okay, so why is he talking to the south now? Why have you changed your mind?
Because it's happened to the north.
Because it's happened to... So tell me what the this is.
This is the captivity of Hoshea by the Assyrians. in
Okay,
722.
so the this is the destruction of Samaria. So the this equals the destruction of Samaria. You're okay with that? And who's he speaking to?
Judah.
So he's talking to Judah. So he says to Judah, has this ever happened before? And the answer is? It's a rhetorical question.
No.
It's never happened before. It's a new thing. What has just happened?
The nations come against them,
And?
destroyed, taken them into captivity.
Okay, so the whole nation has been destroyed. That's never happened before. And then it says, 4 insects are coming. And what are they going to do?
Finish off this work of destruction completely.
With whom or to whom?
To Judah.
Okay, so you agree with this, what Brother Stephen's done? The 4 insects are going to come against the south, and they're going to destroy Jerusalem. And they've destroyed, Samaria's just been destroyed. Yes? So tell me, who destroyed Samaria?
The Babylonians, the Assyrians.
Who's destroying Judah?
The insects.
Who destroyed Samaria?
The insects. The first one.
Okay, so it says, have you seen what's happened have you seen this thing that's happened? And the reason it says have a look at this thing, because what is it to the Judeans? This thing, what is it?
A lesson.
A lesson
An example of what's going to happen
to,
to them.
so it's an example of what's going to happen to them. What is going to happen to them?
The same work of destruction.
By?
The same power.
By?
The insect.
4, because it says 4 insects are going to destroy you. So if 4 insects are going to destroy you, and this work of destruction is the same as what happened to the northern tribe, therefore what happened to the northern tribe?
They were destroyed by insects.
They must have been destroyed by 4 insects as well. So you would have 4 insects here. Now I'm going to put these 4 insects in, I'll put it in parentheses. Because the insects in chapter 1 are not these ones, they're these ones. Yeah? But these had 4 insects, and it says this is this, then you know that this must have had 4 insects. How do you know that? Because if you use the rules of parable teaching, or chiasms, or juxtapositioning, there has to be an equivalence. Who have I lost? Does that make sense, brother? Yep. Brother Carl? Which bit's not, which bit, if you're not sure about it, other people are not sure.
So far, everything you've said makes sense. I'm just not very familiar with the 4 insects, but I've understood what you've said.
Okay, so what are the 4 insects?
They
Give me the verse. What they are. Chapter 1. It's a simple proof text to tell you what the insects are. Verse 4? Let me check. I don't think it's verse 4, that's why I'm checking. No, it's not verse 4. Not verse 4 lists out the insect. I want to know what the insects are. Remember, the woman is a symbol of papalism. So the insects are a symbol of something. I want to know what they're symbol of. Which verse? It's in the chapter. Sorry? Did you get that, Brother Carl?
verse 6.
Yeah. Okay, so tell us what the insect is, just in the wording of the verse.
A lion, a nation.
A nation. It doesn't tell you who it is. We could know historically who it is, but the 4 insects are a nation. We could go back. We could look more into the story of Joel, and it will tell you what nation it is. What nation is it? Does it mention Babylon? Chapter 2. Which verse? Brother John Mark, you know which verse? It's going to tell you, it's going to identify the army. Brother Mark, John Mark. Which verse? I'm hearing whispers over this side. You tell us the answer, my brother. It's in chapter 2. You don't look at it if you don't know. If you don't know, that's fine. Shout the answer out. Shout out the answer. Which verse?
25.
Sorry?
20 or 25.
Which one you want to go for?
25.
Sorry?
I want to go for 25.
Well, 25 is just going to give you the insects again.
And this is my great army.
Okay, so it's my great army. So how does that identify which army it is?
When you combine that with verse 20, it says it's
Okay,
as a northern
so
army.
so 25 is not going to actually give you any more information. It just tells that it's a big army or a good army or a strong army.
I suppose for me it links that the insects are the army.
Okay,
And because it says,
yes.
verse 20, it says my army, but it doesn't really say the insects. But when you put the two together,
Okay, so I guess I did that from chapter 1, verse 4 and 6. So verse 20, 220, it says it's the northern army. Yeah, we're okay with that? The northern army is the kingdom or the people of the north. So we can work that out. Brother Carl said something about lions. Why was he talking about lions? Chapter 1, verse 6. For a nation is come up upon my land, strong and without number, whose teeth are the teeth of a lion, and he hath the teeth of a great lion. So this is a lion as well. And we can employ another verse from Jeremiah. Jeremiah what?
50 verse 17.
Okay, so we can go to Jeremiah 50 verse 17. And that refers to what? Two lions. Familiar with that verse, Brother Stephen? Yeah? There's two lions. The first is, and the second, Babylon. So that's why we make the argument that the first head is Babylon. We have it in the chart, 677 and 723 is all Assyrian. You see that they've got the capital in Babylon now, by the time you get to 677. You can see in Joel chapter 1, the four insects that are referred to is this history. So the four insects, what nation is that? Assyrians or Babylonians? They're both, because it starts off with the Assyrians and then it ends with the Babylonians. Jeremiah 50 verse 17. First the Assyrians, then the Babylonians. But you can also see that these four insects can be applied back here, because the four insects are the northern army, the Assyrians, or this progressive destruction, if we could say it that way. If we're okay with that, yeah. How many kings between? I'll have to put 677 now. How many kings are in this history? 7 kings. And how many kings would be in this history then? There'll be 7 kings. Beginning from Jeroboam to Hoshea. 7 kings and 7 kings. So we've got 7 kings in this history. And how many steps do we mark out for those 7 kings? 4 steps. 4 steps, 4 kings. So there's 4 kings and 7 kings in this history. I know I'm going fast for too many people. 7 kings. How many kings also do we have in this history? 4. This is Isaiah chapter 1 verse 1. And I think Hosea chapter 1 verse 1. There are 7 kings in the north and 4 kings in the south. So it has identical pattern. Are you okay with that now, Brother Richard? Europe, we're good with that?
Yeah.
Yep. And we're good that this is the first head, Babylon. We can interchange Babylon or Assyria with that. You okay with that, Brother Stephen? Good. Everybody okay? No questions on that? Okay, so let's just talk a little bit more. Oh no, let's do this one first. We'll have a little break. This is your question, Sister Carol Lee? Yeah? Good. Does the sins sorry?
No, I found it fascinating, but just one question.
Oh. Are the sins of Babylon to be repeated in our generation in a similar way? If yes, can we expect a hot civil war to break out in America or worldwide over this issue of equality, race, etc., fueled by the trade unions? So the first part is a two-part question. Are the sins of Babylon to be repeated in our generation? So what are the sins of Babylon that you're referring to?
You see the number 3, I had the number 3 there, but I put 3. Are the 3 sins of Babylon?
Okay, I wasn't sure if it was there or 3. Does 3 sins of Babylon be repeated in our generation in a similar way?
I was thinking and writing.
That's fine. What are the 3 sins?
The stating the dead issue, the gender sacredness issue, and the issue of time. So I'm just saying, is it going to repeat it symmetrical as it was in the dispensation, which you said from 1844?
So it will be repeated like, will it be in a similar way? That's your question.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's go with,
I understand the literal from the spiritual, so
Let's-
what be the end won't be the same, but will be similar.
so let's go with time. Tell me how the time was all done in the beginning, in the Alpha. How did they do time there?
Time was quite different because we had a message based upon time. Yeah.
How did they calculate the time?
Based on prophecy.
A little bit more. Numbers,
25, 20,
numbers,
2,300 days,
numbers.
12, 16.
14, no, sorry, Numbers 14.
Based upon,
Numbers 14. Ezekiel.
yeah, a day for a year principle.
Okay, so it's day for a year. They're going to use day for a year and take these time prophecies, the 1335, the 1290, we've got that one, and the 2300 days. They're going to take them a day for a year, and that's how they're going to calculate time. You okay with that? So how do we do time? Sister Cedar, you said what? We do the same way. We take day for a year. We do. Today, in our history, we take. She's talking about the Millerite history. She's talking about the Millerite history. They use day for a year. So what are we doing? We're not doing day for a year, are we? You're holding the microphone and you put it on the table. It's crazy. This is Brother Thomas. It's crazy.
That statement was crazy, yeah.
Yeah. Carry on.
Sorry, can you repeat the? Are you saying? Sorry, are you saying that what do we use in our time for?
How do we
time?
use time? Tell me some dates. 1989.
Oh, yes.
How do you calculate 1989?
We look at the history. And
How do you
we
calculate 1989?
because of time of the end, because of the.
You're not sure?
No.
Sister Carolee?
How do you calculate 1989? We use the 1 to 6, the 10.
From where?
1863.
Okay. Oh, I meant from what passage of scripture? 1863, good. We do it 2 ways, in fact, now. We've got 2 testimonies, two approaches to do it. So you mentioned one of them, a tenth.
Yeah.
You take a tenth of,
Don't have a passage, man. I know.
a tenth of what? This one here.
Yeah, the 1 to
You take a tenth of the 1260, which you get 126. No day for a year, it's just 126. And then the other way you do it is, anyone help her? Daniel chapter 5. Mene, mene, tekel upharsin, which adds up to 126. So we can do it two ways. So we calculate time in a different way. So even though it's similar, it's certainly not the same when it gets repeated in our history. We have clear evidence of that now when we deal with the issue of time. So yes, they're going to be repeated in a similar way, but they're not identical. So your question was, if yes, can we expect a hot civil war to break out in America? So what's your definition of hot civil war?
Before I go into that, I wanted to talk about time a little bit more.
Go ahead.
Between a test, because it was such a test for them. It is a test for us now, isn't it?
Yes?
Or is it the other portion a test? Which one is the test? Is it all three a test?
Well, test is certainly a time because people have left this movement over time. So if you leave over the time, it means it tested you.
It's because
I will say this, let me add this point though. Even though we talk about time being a test, in the dispensation in which we're living, time was not really the test for our dispensation. The test of time was from 9/11 to 2014. That's when this movement was tested on time.
so that okay.
Sorry?
So, I'm just saying, so we've moved into soul.
We've moved into something different. We're not being tested on time. For sure.
So about the civil war, it's because like in UK now we're seeing like becoming more aware of these trade union groups and these other groups who are really like annoying the government in a way, and we're thinking, oh wow, and it's, you know, you can see a race thing there as well, and it's quite big in America. So I'm saying, is there going to be a mass civil war all over the world or just America?
So
Because America's quite hot now because
this-
of what Trump's doing, but
what's your definition of hot?
being that
People are hot-headed?
Violence, yeah.
Do you see,
It's just opposite from being cold.
you see
Cold is-
violence happening in America?
Not yet, but because of all these guns and people.
Okay, so you don't see it
protesting-
yet?
Not yet, but are we to expect it though?
Okay, so the civil war that you're referring to, is it something in the future or in the present?
It's just because of 1863 and it came up.
I understand that.
yeah.
Is the civil war that you're referring to in the future or in the present?
Future, because I can see cold now. I can see like it's, you know, building up, but is it gonna happen like a future outbreak of
So
crisis?
my understanding is we're already in a civil war,
Yeah,
and the civil war is almost coming to an end.
to an end.
Yes. Began in 2014, the civil war, and it's going to end 2019. The civil war ends.
Okay.
Counter-revolution, isn't it?
So what are we to expect then?
We're already in it.
Okay. For me, this like sounds like Christ really gonna come like a thief in the night, because some people gonna wake up and realize all these things have happened right under my nose and I didn't realize it because it's not like a big thing in, you know, all these hot wars.
And
you know,
who's
you're
that?
looking for.
When you say these people are going to wake up, who are you talking about?
Obviously, it probably won't be me because I'm realizing it now, but I'm just seeing for like nominal Adventism that realize that, wow, Sunday law is really here. And where is all of this build up to it? I didn't see it. Because of the Civil War, you say we're already in it.
Are they expected to see it?
No, but
Who's expected to see it?
okay, what about people who have been in this movement up until recently who is expecting big things?
Like you?
Huh? I'm not expecting big things. It's just because we're watching all these groups in the UK and, you know.
No, I get it. Yeah, I mean like you, because you're typical of this movement.
All right, I'm
this-
typical, yeah.
This
I'm
movement is
typical.
expecting big things.
Yeah, okay, yeah. Typical
And-
me.
What we're discovering is we're at the end of the Civil War, and it happened without us even noticing.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, there's big crisis in the UK, in America, and it's happening without us even noticing. For real, for real.
Yeah, and those big things that are happening doesn't stop you going shopping
No.
and buying fuel
No.
and going to work.
Yeah. No. it
So
doesn't.
those big things are not affecting your life in any kind of serious way.
Not in serious way. No. No.
Sorry, they
But
should
you're
be.
aware of it.
Is your life being affected? You can't get a job, can't buy fuel. She's talking about civil war. She's talking about externally. How is it impacting us? She's not referring to that. I'm not. It probably is affecting her life. Impacting her lifestyle. The way she orders her personal family life, that's separate to this point that she wants to make. When she's talking about what a civil war looks like, it's not impacting us. We're not even in the midst of the civil war.
Yeah, I agree. It's not going to impact us if I go to work, but neither will the next time. Like you said before. It doesn't mean to say it's not happening.
In fact, I think I've said something incorrect. When we talk about this civil war, if you want to take 1863, when did the Civil War begin? Sorry? In our history.
2014, yeah. 2014.
39?
No, not 1939. Sorry? I'm probably going to get in trouble now. It's been going for a long time. Is that right? I think it's right. Yeah?
Civil War started in 1863.
It began in 61. Yeah, this was the middle of the war. So we've been in a civil war for a long time and we haven't even noticed it. We didn't know about it. Got some questions. Okay, we're still dealing with this one.
No, we haven't finished. Yeah, sorry.
So there's not going to be a hot civil war because the war is ended, basically. As Brother Richard said, after this civil war or revolution, there'll be a pause and there'll be a counter-revolution. Counter means what? A response. Someone's going to counter it or fight against it. Brother Tom? Oh, one. That's a one.
Oh yeah, I was gonna ask about that.
You didn't say that about my ones there. 2001. So we're at the end of the Civil War. Everything that we need to learn has already happened. So we should not be expecting a hot civil war. Again, I'm not sure what we think about hot actually looks like. There might be rioting in the street, but hot to me means everyone's killing each other and doing mayhem and all of that. So I'm not. It doesn't. There's no indication that that's going to happen. Sorry?
When a missile hits a minibus or something like that, they don't go too well. The ones that are in it, to them that's hot.
If that's how you're going to define hot, yeah.
You see, with that revolution includes all Syria and all that, and the way they just took out all them places, then some people have.
Is that how you define hot?
Well, it's more than guns, isn't it? Hot. It's like when you include missiles, it gets a bit.
So what about the Cold War?
I know there's still splinter groups.
So the Cold War.
Bow and arrows. They're not just guns. They're like rockets.
Yeah, it's in the Cold War.
Been using banned phosphorus missiles.
In the Cold War. they were fighting in Afghanistan using missiles and tanks. Was that a Cold War or a hot war?
Well, I said it was cold, but it was still to where the fractions of people were meeting, it was hot.
So we have to be careful how we're going to define what hot and cold is.
I think a lot of people expect hot to be like nuclear, but when I see hot, anything past guns. When you start using rockets, I mean, to me, they take rockets do damage.
So the knives.
Yeah, they do nice, but not on a larger scale.
Okay, I guess if we're all going to have our individual definition of what hot means, we'd never come to a consensus. So I think we're using the...
So it is little splintered groups in little confined areas. So is hot mean biggest area?
I don't know how you want to define it when America and Russia or Soviet Union has been in a Cold War for decades, how you define what cold is.
But they've had loads of splintered clashes,
And you still happy to call it cold?
even though, like,
I'm asking you, you're still happy to call it cold? Because everyone else does.
well, because the way I see it, they see that hot is nuclear. But I see past guns. I mean, well, you can still have confined, but the places where it goes off, it's, it's not cold.
So if you go to some inner cities in the United States, are they hot wars or cold wars that are going on?
But they're like little clashes again, but they still use missiles.
So there's no hot civil war, if you're okay with that answer, because we're always at the end of it now, the civil war. So over this issue of equality, race, etc. So the issue of equality has been going on for a long time now, and there may have been civil unrest, there may be people who are objecting to these things, but there's not been a hot war over these issues. So when you say equality, I'm not sure what you mean by that. You're talking about men and women equality.
Yeah, like in England, they save the women and children group at the moment, and they're going from city to city, and they're becoming bigger and they're twice now.
Okay, all of that again is indicating that it's not going to be hot. There can be civil unrest, but that's not the definition of hot.
So the definition of hot is big scale.
I would argue that it's when you invade a country.
Okay, so when it's actually invaded, a country scale, not like city.
In 1989, was that a hot war?
No? Oh. Well, yeah, no, because they made an agreement and it came down, didn't it?
So there's no hot war. America didn't do anything to the Soviet Union. The Soviet Union imploded of its own accord.
Yeah.
So when you get civil unrest or a country imploding upon itself, that's not the definition of hot war.
The hot war definition is an invasion of a country, not clashes in towns and cities.
Yeah, I would suggest. Fueled by the trade unions. The trade unions may have a part in all of this. Are the trade unions good or bad?
It does say that they will come and they are helpful.
Sorry?
They were good at the beginning. I'm not sure they're good now, but they were good at the beginning.
Okay, so they're a force for evil now. I don't know.
Employer, lawyer in that workplace that would defend you without you having to pay out. It's like a union.
No, you have to pay a
You
weekly
get it
fee.
a lot for like jobs like public services.
You don't know what unions are?
And other ones like that.
Maybe I do, but I just can't see what's wrong with
So you know what unions are?
Yeah, I guess I understand that, but when we talk about the unions, I just can't see what evil meant.
Oh, that's what I'm asking you, if they're good or bad. You're saying they're a force for good.
From what I understand. I know the spirit prophecy says something different. I'm guessing we have to take
Okay, anyone else? I can't hear you.
They're becoming loose around government's heads as time progresses.
So they're against the government.
Yeah, institutions who are against us. So workplace institutions who come against employees and affect them, but then they will then spread out into government bodies.
I think this is the right.
I don't know what a noose around them means. Are they good? Are they against the government or for the government?
So they will eventually become loose. Well, I say loose meaning just an antagonist against.
So they're against the government or for the government? That's what I'm asking. So does it make them good or bad?
Well, in the like that White describes, they're bad. They're the ones that bring in the March on Sunday legislation.
Someone's on the back end of.
It's good going into that. They're good now. You know, they help people in their employment.
So they're going to become allies of the state, are they?
Then, later,
That's what you just said.
why they become allies of the state if they're against it?
What's the state going to do? Bring in the Sunday law?
Yeah.
And you said the trade union's going to bring in the Sunday law. So they're allies of the state. So they're allies of the state, they're not against the state.
Yes.
You see that today?
No, not in that capacity, no.
And we're in the Sunday law today? We're not in Sunday law? 2014 is not Sunday law?
Yes.
So what Brother Thomas is saying, in this Sunday law, the unions are against the government, and in that Sunday law,
No, in that Sunday law, they are.
in this Sunday law, the unions are against the government. Are you telling me that the unions are with the government today?
Well, they're not. I can't see them doing anything against the government.
They're not resisting against the government? You haven't looked at the United States?
They force the government to like demonstrations. They use the same principles.
I'm not saying any. Oh, okay, yeah, okay, yeah. No, you develop your own.
I'm choosing your argument. They're against the government now, but you're saying in the future they're going to be with the government.
Sorry, I can't see it in the United States where they're against the government. I've seen individuals, but not the unions. From my research, I've actually seen unions responding to the teacher payment rising workers. So that was just all individuals.
Go in the UK then. Tell me which unions are in favour of are in bed with the government.
Okay, okay. Yeah. If you go back in the Labour, the United came out recently against Jaguar and some other ones. So yeah, they are against the policies of the government.
So in the future they're going to be with them, or?
I don't know about the future. I just know about right now. I can see that they are against them.
You can't comment about the future. You don't believe in line upon line?
Okay, well then yes, they will be.
Against?
Yes.
So that means good then, isn't it?
It's not good for us.
It's not? We want people who support the state?
Are they forming the image of the beast then?
Whom?
The unions.
What are they doing about the image of the beast?
Well, they're helping it, aren't they? Are they?
How?
Because they're duping the people.
They're duping the people?
Yeah.
Into what?
Into prosperity, temporal prosperity.
Why is that bad?
Because that's a delusion.
That's not, why is that becoming the image of the beast?
Well, it's the things that they do to, well, they get the people on their side. I don't know the full ins and outs of it. Because the Protestants usually have all the money, and
I think we've got a wrong view of where we're at. Perhaps. I think Sister Emma said that. That's why we're in hiding. We're not fit to be taken out on the streets. That's embarrassed by us. Did I answer your question, Sister Carol Lee? Did it answer your questions? Do the three sins of Babylon get repeated in our generation in a similar way? They're similar but not the same. And all three would not be the same.
Okay, so you talked about time, and you said the soul. You didn't talk about the soul.
Okay, the soul is what? Slavery. Does slavery look the same today as it did then?
No.
And what's the third one?
What would it look like?
I don't know. And the third one? Yeah, I said I don't know. I don't know what it looks like. Do you?
Did you say it yesterday?
Remind me. I don't have a good memory. What did I say yesterday?
What does it look like? Is it public what it looks like? What test you failed in 2014?
Oh, yeah.
I don't know. Okay. I think we were talking about.
Oh, sorry.
The equalness, the full commandment that belongs to God, repeat that to be God and His commandments.
The gender equality, I think she's referring to.
Okay, gender equality.
Oh no, sorry, not gender equality. Marital equality.
Marital equality.
Yeah.
Which is gender equality, yeah.
Oh, does it fall under that? Okay.
Yeah, take some time to that now then.
Yeah? There's the whole issue of,
Now that's the past issue now. We're still in
well, it's still current. We're still dealing with that now. We're still looking at it, I should say.
current for us now. But
That's
it's really 2014.
Yeah? And then the third one is? Sabbath.
What would that look like? Everything else looks so different.
That will look different too. I don't know. No, I'm not saying. I'm saying I don't know, but it will be different if we agree with that. And we teach, it looks the same.
When we read at the end of time with the Sunday law going on, we read like back in the past, we knew that
We're going to probably end up teaching people on Sundays to bring them over to the Sabbath. I don't know. Life will still go on when the Sunday law is here. I know that for sure. And we'll be teaching people on the Sundays trying to win them over. That I know. So I guess it'll look a bit like that, really. I don't know. How would it look different from 1888? I'm not giving much, I know.
Did 1888 look like 1863?
No.
And you're okay with that?
Yeah, they're different events.
One is ushering in, or just before 63, one of them is ushering in the second advent,
Yeah.
and the other one's ushering in the second advent,
Yeah.
and they look different.
Yeah.
How do you process that?
Because one had the massacre of war, and one just have somebody going in Parliament and arguing against a decree of.
So totally different tests.
Yeah.
So when we bring those issues into our time period, what would our one look like? Which one would it look like? The 63 imagery or the 88 imagery?
He said he won't have similar ending, so I guess it'll be more. It'll be 88 imagery, but we'll be doing much more. Because why would you have death decree and stuff coming up on you if it won't be different?
Maybe the death decree comes over a different issue.
That's the Catholics' approach and the Protestants.
What issue would that come up against then?
Sorry?
What issue would that be then if it's not Sabbath? sacredness.
What was the issue in 63? Because it wasn't a Sabbath issue there.
Wow, okay. More to study.
If you hide a slave, they'll put you to death, apparently.
Okay.
That's what Brother Thomas just said.
Yeah.
Okay, there were a fair few questions that I didn't get to answer on this page, so we'll try and tackle those tomorrow. If we're okay with that, we're again 30 minutes over time. So I hope I answered some of the questions to some people's satisfaction. Oh, I know we're already 30 minutes behind. It's already 7 o'clock. Yeah. No, I think he starts when we present. Let's pray. Heavenly Father, we thank you for your goodness and mercy. We want to ask and pray that you would be with us, guide us and bless us. As we meditate upon the things that we have spoken of, things that we find challenging, we ask for wisdom and grace that we might be able to distinguish between the voice of man and your voice. Bless us, we pray in Jesus' name. Amen.